From the scope display, we can also make voltage and time measurements. We have to look at the bottom of the screen. We can see we can read 500 millivolts and 500 microseconds. And that means each vertical division is 500 millivolts, and each horizontal division is 500 microseconds. So now if I look at this signal, I can see that from the peak to the peak we have 4 squares vertically, right? And each one is 500 millivolts. So now I know that the peak to peak of the signal, peak to peak voltage of the signal is 2 volts. And for the period, we can see that from this peak to this peak we have around 1.8 squares horizontally, or let's say 2 approximately, and each one is 500 microseconds, so that would be 1 milliseconds, and which means the frequency of the signal is around 1 kilohertz. It's also important to learn how to use the XY mode of the oscilloscope. So for XY we use when we have 2 signals, and we can look at the relationship between these 2 signals. We put one of them on the y-axis and the other one on the x-axis. The x-axis is going to be channel 1. So let's use the very same signal and put it on channel 2. So in this case the relationship is equal, which means we expect to see a 45-degree line. So to go to XY mode, we press the display button, and here we see the format. Now it says YT, which means we are plotting voltage versus time. We can change it from here, make it XY. And now we can see that we have this line which shows that the input is equal to the output. Actually the scales for the 2 are different. We can equalize them, make it 500 both. Now we can see a 45-degree line that shows the relationship between the input and output. And generally when you have XY mode, you want DC coupled input and output. So if you press on channel 1, make it DC, and for channel 2 also DC, which means this middle point here, the center of the coordinates, is 0 voltage on both channels. And now you can read any voltage you want.